Hello, everybody. This is a very special episode of DTC Blow Smoke Podcast. My name is iCandy Randy. Over here we have
Handsome Pierce, the motherfucking goat.
and, of course, Ethan behind the board, mixing and mastering. Joining us in just a few minutes, you'll hear his life story all the way from birth until when he projects he will die. Dan McGuinness is joining us. We'll hear about his career in music, sports, radio, and most importantly, what foreign country has the hottest groupies? Coming up next on a very special edition of DTC Blow and Smoke Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Blow and Smoke Podcast. You could call it the Blow and Speakers Podcast. My name is Handsome Pierce. As always, with me is
iCandy Randy, and over behind the board, mixing and mastering, the voice of God, the preacher himself, Mr. Ethan Burmeister.
Thank you.
And today, this was Pierce's idea, and we've been working on it for a while. Hey, thumbs up. The Deadwood Tobacco is known for, obviously, cigars, pipes, beer, wine, and music. We always have live music every Friday and Saturday, year-round. A lot of blues-based stuff, a little bit of country, a little Americana, some funk, some you name it.
Not too much country.
Not too much country.
Not too much country.
3 times a year. Can you guess where they are? Wild Bill Days, Days of 76, and the goddamn 4th of July. Joining us for this first music-inspired episode is a good friend of mine and has been at the shop many times, and all the way from Chicago, Illinois, via Sundance, Wyoming. We'll get into that a little bit later. Everybody, say hello to Mr. Dan McGuinness. Crowd goes wild. Exactly.
And that's a wrap.
Yeah, perfect.
Man, that was it.
Yeah.
Good show, guys.
Yep.
And we're out. Oh, and I almost forgot, off camera, hiding over in the corner, everybody, say hi to Gary.
Gary.
He came down to just check out the behind-the-scenes action. If you're interested in watching a podcast be done live, submit your bid.
Gary came over for breakfast.
A cigar and a Shinerbach. Attaboy. We'll get him.
I'm like, yeah, it's still going through mine.
Yeah, we'll get him. We'll get him on the camera here one of these days. So we just want to visit a little bit about our buddy Dan and some things that have been going on and that type of thing. So we'll just start at the beginning.
Thanh you for having me, by the way.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, dude. And it was awesome that you came by to actually give us some time and talk a little bit about your path through this thing called music.
Mm-hmm.
And we're shooting this at 3 a.m. on a Sunday.
Sure feels like it, I'll tell you that.
We're laughing like it is, yeah.
It's still Sunday.
You can tell what time it is because this is coffee, that is coffee, that is coffee. Gary's the only one with balls over there.
Yeah.
So just let's get the basics out of the way. Grew up Chicago suburb, large Irish Catholic family. Just talk us a little bit about growing up in that area and how that was for you.
Youngest of 7 kids. Nobody ever listened to me growing up. Nobody asked what I wanted. So I make a living with a microphone now, so they have to listen to me. Both parents were, singers here and there, and, went about life and had all these kids and everything. So I, followed my dream and did what probably my dad wanted to do and wanted to be a singer and traveling. Mm-hmm. Grew up in a south suburb of Chicago called Palos Park, and here I am.
That is a hell of a jump
What
from
a
here
hell.
to there.
Yeah, no, I
Palos Park to Deadwood.
yeah. So I started playing music in coffee shops and doing all that. Karaoke wasn't really a thing. It was just barely starting out, but I would go and do karaoke at certain places if it was available.
Very nice.
Coffee shops, and then I was a roadie for a band. And every now and then they would call me up to sing, and I'm like, oh, this is way cooler than carrying everybody's gear around.
Yeah, I imagine so.
And it turned out I was right.
Yeah.
Singing is a lot more fun. I just said, fuck it, and I'm just going to
Just do this forever and ever?
Yeah.
So, like, in that introductory phase, did you find it, like, a little bit troublesome or a little bit anxiety-filled to get up on stage? Or was this you get up on there and all of a sudden, I can actually be heard?
Oh, I mean, it was very nerve-wracking, actually pretty shy person, believe it or not.
Right.
I could turn it on when I need to, but So that was like, and I wouldn't talk to the crowd. I couldn't make eye contact. I was nervous as hell playing these coffee shops. And of course, you're sucking down coffee, so your nerves are just shooting through the roof.
Calm as all calm can be.
Yeah. So, but like I had a couple good buddies that were like very encouraging, and they're, helping me out, giving you pointers and this and that. So, all of that helped. And then just through time, just one after another. And then I moved to Arizona when I was 20 and just started playing more. And now you're new. It's a new, setting. So you're driven to really wow, I'm going to make my mark on this town.
And like the youngest of 7 children, did you find yourself kind of entertaining the group of the family at large? Is that kind of your start, or was it a little bit after that when you wanted to find your own voice?
A little bit of both. I mean, we have, obviously a large family, but like everybody's just like loud, so like my brothers are, my brother Mark, he's done comedy. He's the entertainer. My dad was hilarious, so everybody, there was all these moving parts, I felt comfortable in a crowd. Nobody's going to invite 9 people over to their house.
Right.
So we were always hosting.
Sure.
So family, and we have a huge family. I mean, cousins, umpteen cousins, as me dad would say. And so they were always over at the house. So I was always comfortable with crowds. I was always comfortable around older people.
Right.
My mom would let me sit at the table while they smoked and drank in the kitchen, and I would just observe, So I learned from my elders, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I became, the family sponge. And so I don't know if that like translated into like, oh, I'm good in front of a crowd now because I grew up with a crowd. Maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
But I love the way it feels when I sing, and, thankfully people were encouraging and kept me going.
So were your parents first generation Irish Americans?
Well, my dad's from Dublin. My mom's a Southside Chicago girl. Her grandparents are from Ireland.
Okay.
So whatever that is, 1 3/4.
Yeah.
1 3/4.
I was told there'd be no math.
You're not doing fractions today, sir. Come on now.
Yes. And because of your dad, you have an Irish passport, correct?
Yes.
Which you are not letting go.
I'm never. I will go there next week to renew it if I had to. Most of my family got their Irish passports kind of during COVID. Like mine was locked up for like 8 months because the Irish government kept shutting down. So I was like, oh,
weird.
Shit, am I ever going to get this thing?
Government shutdown? When does that happen?
What does that mean? That's why we're in a basement. Federal funds got cut off, and here we are. Put that on your Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Patreon, full of political discussion.
Yeah. The things that we won't touch on a regular basis, we'll put the fuck out of it on Patreon.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, we it's a very proud thing. My dad passed away earlier this year, so it's like I'm going to Ireland next month. For the first time. Kind of without him. And so it's a point of pride because it's also an EU passport, not just an Irish passport. So. Anytime I go to Europe, I'm like, I go through the EU line and they say, welcome back. And I'm like, thank you. It's great to be here.
So when you were growing up, you said your parents were comedic and musical. Do you remember your first instrument and what was it and when did you start?
Well, we always had a piano in the house, but it was like forbidden to that's mom's church piano. And I'd hear her singing in the, but when nobody was around, it was exercising the demons of the house. Yeah. And we never had the house to ourselves. I can count on, 3 fingers. Growing up, never having the house to myself. And when I would, I'm like, what room do I spend it in? What light do I turn on? I didn't start playing guitar until 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was super. I mean, we talked to Guth and any one of our friends. They play guitar at 10, 11, 12. Right. I was such a late bloomer with music in general. So,
and that's all musicality, just not just the guitar.
Right. Yeah. So I was like, dude, don't touch the piano, so I didn't mess with that. And there was not a guitar in the house until I brought one, but I would hide it, because my parents, even though my parents were musicians per se, they did not encourage. It was like, get a job, join the trade, so that was like certainty. Well, I went the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm okay with a lot of uncertainty just because of what we do,
and it has turned out very, very well for you. We'll get to more details later.
I'm gonna need another cup of coffee.
Yes, indeed. Throw a little rum in there. So then, what did you do after high school? Did you start in college, go to college, or just say, I'm going to try this music thing?
Yeah, so I was playing a little bit. Went to community college for like a year and a half. I think I'm like 12 credits shy of my associate's degree.
There you go.
But I always knew, and I think I went to community college just to kind of please my parents, because everybody else in my family went to university, went down, the family path or
Right.
whatever. And I took some theater classes at this community college. I think I even auditioned for a play, just trying to be like, what do I do? Like, 18, 19 years old, I felt my life was beginning, because now I can start making my own decisions.
Correct.
And it was like, get a job or move out.
Well, and with the older siblings, I guess in my case, this is what I saw, but you're almost building yourself to a measure. I got 3 older sisters. I'm the youngest by 6 years, so there was always this overshadowing thing. So are you watching them go into careers and go through universities and all this other stuff and kind of measuring your merit towards that? Or are you just straight off, I'm going in my own direction because, sometimes you feel left out as the youngest.
Sure.
You've already gone through, you've seen, 1, 2, 3, and 8, or 1, 2, 3, and 5 go through, do
Right.
whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now it's your turn.
Yeah, my oldest brother, the good son, joined the army, went away. He was that pillar of respect, and I literally look up to my brothers, because all 3 of them are 6'7", 6'8". But that's a great question, because I would watch what they're doing. I always knew, like, going away to a 4-year university was just never going to be my thing. And when I started playing guitar and music, I was like, all right, still, how do I go about it? It's like that old Yellow Pages commercial. Where do I start? I did not know. But the band that I was a roadie for, like, I just kind of went that direction. So for like 2 years, that's what I did, was every weekend being around the scene. And then they start calling me up to sing, and I'm like, oh, okay. Then I moved to Arizona. I'm starting to play more. And then 5 years later, in 2005, I was like 27, maybe 26. I moved back to Chicago in 2005.
Fucking White Sox.
What a great year. baseball stuff here. People at home are like, what the hell are they talking? Click. I decided to just go full time. I moved back to Chicago. I temped. I did some just, data entry jobs just to make a few bucks. But just started doing music full time. And
So what led you to Arizona? Was it you was like, I'm going to get the fuck out of Chicago, go someplace warm, or?
It was I-40. I just took it west. Route 66, baby.
Wherever I break down, that's where I shall stay.
Oh,
Huh?
When I drove and moved to Arizona, I blew an engine in Oklahoma City. It took a month to get the taste of oil out of my mouth.
I was gonna say, thank God you didn't stay there.
No, my car engine blew out, and I rented a U-Haul and towed it to Arizona. So I was like already getting off on the wrong foot here.
Right.
I was 20 years old. I was excited to move, and I worked at a bank at the time in Chicago. I transferred to a bank in Scottsdale. And I had my bank teller job waiting for me. So I had to start, but it was just, didn't have a car. So then I had to buy a car, I had a car payment, and taking the bus too. It was just, I don't know. That was in Tempe, Arizona. And then I moved up to Sedona where my parents were. And then I got a job in radio, and then started to really, feel, have my legs under me kind of thing.
Is that when you started to write, or was that a little bit before that? When were you just, besides learning the guitar at 18, getting picked up, when did you start creating your own material?
Yeah, so pretty early on, actually one of my first songs I ever wrote, I ended up recording it, and it's like on my first CD. And it was just, there's a lot of crap. There's a lot of crap today, As I write stuff, I'm like, ugh, no one's ever going to hear that. I was always dabbling with it. Obviously, I was into Creedence and stuff like that, but totally into Neil Diamond and John Denver. So I was heavily inspired by that stuff and trying to create that for myself.
Right.
So it was fun to do that.
You got a wasp right there.
Oh, I do, huh?
There we go. Got it. Sorry.
So
and this is why you guys get the Patreon, so you can see special shit like that.
So helpful.
Behind the scenes.
Yes.
I'm not allergic, but I'd rather not to get stoned.
Not beehive the scenes.
Oh,
Okay.
It's pun time.
Yeah.
So you're down in Arizona doing some bank teller stuff, and then you said you go back to Chicago. So we're looking like 2005 now. Welcome to This Is Your Life, Dan McGuinness. So you get back to Chicago and you said, all right, fuck it, I'm doing this full time. But besides the music, which you make your living off of now, you have dabbled in all different types of arts. You said you were in a theater in the community college. I know you've done some film work. You have your own podcast. You've done radio. How do you feel that those different art forms kind of meld with the music that you're doing now? Were they training ground, or how did that work for you?
I think it was just the umbrella of entertainment.
Right.
My mic stand needs Viagra. It's not standing on its own.
Let's pause for a second.
Okay.
Pause for the cause.
So to answer your question, like the umbrella of entertainment, like it's one of those, I'm trying not to sound cliche, but like when I see the word entertainment, all those fancy vowels,
Right.
I just wanted to be in it. I've always wanted to be a radio guy. I've always wanted to be a baseball announcer. So anything that was like available, I jumped at it. So when I moved to Sedona, always wanted to do radio. I was the guy that, like, a friend of mine worked at Radio Shack and he built me a little transmitter. And you record something and then you play it and then you broadcast. And I broadcast from my driveway the first time. That was like in junior year of high school.
Sure.
And my guidance counselor in high school talked me out of going to Columbia, downtown Chicago, because they had a great radio and film and art school.
Nice.
Oh, you're not going to make any money in radio. She was right.
I mean, yeah. All
But,
three
like,
of us have been in radio.
I'm like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be a sports announcer. So,
So you were doing the pump up the jam kind of deal.
Yeah.
Or pump up the volume, sorry.
so when I got to Sedona, my mom was having this friend over for coffee, and she was a DJ on the weekends. And my mom said something like, "Oh, he's always wanted to get into radio." She goes, "Oh, I'm quitting." She goes, "They need a weekend, DJ. So go in and see, my friend Brad Miller."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? Like, in Chicago, you have no chance
Yeah.
to get on the air without a degree or somebody that,
Right.
your uncle or whoever. So I go down there and I fill out an application, and like, it's Sedona, it's a beautiful area, but like the talent pool is low.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just like, "You don't have any experience?" I'm like, "No, sorry." He's like, "Oh, this guy's going to be a project." Anyway, they took a chance on me. I trained for like a month. I shadowed. And like, all of a sudden, I was on the air every Saturday and Sunday from like 6 to midnight, just kicking my heels. I could not believe it. Like 21 years old, I got a job in radio.
What was your fun radio name? Did you have like
No.
all
I
right,
chose
all
to
right.
keep my name that everybody misspells. Like, I couldn't find your website. It's like, because you're misspelling my name.
Boom.
People-
Shots fired, Ethan.
Yeah, I know.
People tend to forget the end.
Oh, well, I played
Just
an
the-
Irish
just the
pub
first
once,
one.
an Irish pub on the south side of Chicago that misspelled my name.
No
Like,
shit.
you had one job.
Go look at the fucking tap and try
The
again.
one beer you sell the most of, you fucked it up. I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah. Some guys have to do it all, and they have ADD. So that's what I'm saying.
It's okay. That's not what got me in trouble.
Yeah. Fair enough.
They're watching. They're here with us now. So no, they did ask me, like, "Do you want a radio voice?" I'm thinking, like, man, Jim Callis here at Eagle Country, he's like, "Do you want to, I'm like, man, I work too goddamn hard to get my name out there. I'm not going
Yeah.
to make up a name now." So,
Right. And it's not like your name is something goofy like Claude McBroom or something like that.
It's not a bad name, Randy.
I know. I was just thinking that. Next podcast.
One of my
Pierce
one of
goes
my
to
characters
Claude
that I
McBroom.
created is Richard Broom. So
Nice.
Yep.
he's out there. So yeah, I film. Somebody always had a video camera growing up, so we were always going around doing skits. So I was like an actor,
Right.
long before music. So if you would have told me at 15
Right.
that I'd end up doing this instead of either sports announcing or whatever, which I've done a lot of course. But so anything related, I'm not a big into theater, but like, it was there, and I thought I'd audition. I auditioned for a British guy against a British guy.
Oh, nice.
Guess who got the part?
You.
Yeah, no. I had no chance. But I'm like, I didn't care. I was like, I had that gusto to where I'm like, I know the odds are stacked against you no matter what. The minute you pick up a guitar and say, "This is what I want to do," there's a million people ahead of you,
Yep.
And that never bothered me. Nothing like that ever deterred me because of like my family. They're great. They're supportive. They're wonderful. Early on, not so much.
Right.
Because it was constant like, "Now, what are you doing messing around?" So I hid the guitar, and so yeah, just that anything that tell me I can't do it, that kind of thing.
Well,
I'm
also,
going to go do it.
It sounds like it takes a village, and your village changed about 3-4 different times as you went on in your career to be like, family was supportive, but maybe not in the direct area that you needed it. And then you got the roadie thing, and they're asking you to come up on stage, and then you get somebody saying you should come over here and do a little bit of radio. So like all those little villages built one big massive city that helped, broaden your scope on what you wanted to do, made you a little bit more comfortable in the skin that that everybody's still forming at that age, I would assume.
He's good.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah, you're like you grew up in my house. Like,
Kinda. But then you go on, and what's the next village that you enter into from going, the radio DJ, playing the guitar, writing your songs, and then kind of where do you feel like your breakthrough kind of came on in that mid to late 20s?
well, yeah, the even earlier than that, what really pushed me into was the whole Creedence and Fogerty thing. When I was 17 or 18. Still singing, and I saw them on stage with this biker-looking singer, and I thought, all right, maybe John Fogerty, the original singer, maybe he's the one that passed away, and so I saw that. I'm like, man, if they can get on stage with him, why can't I do it?
Right.
And I just kind of put that away for a little while and just kind of
festering.
I'm like, I should probably learn the guitar, So it was another motivating thing. And then of course people looked at me like I had, I was a giraffe. Like, what do you mean you're gonna? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pursue that.
Yeah.
And it took several years, but that was just one of those like in the back of my mind, like just keep. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Keep plugging away and see what happens.
Yeah. So that was kind of like that. When I moved back to Chicago, I met a guy, and of course, I'm playing a lot of Creedence songs at that time. We do a tribute band, so then I'm out there getting that, and then now we're traveling quite a bit. So with a large family, we never went anywhere. Like we would go up to Lake Geneva in Wisconsin every now and then because we would pile into the van and drive up there. And my parents couldn't afford hotels and all this stuff, so it's like I wanted to travel, and I knew like, man, if I can get a travel gig, And
So you're saying you wanted to play in a traveling band?
Hey-oh!
There you go.
Wow.
There.
I need a sip of beer for that one.
Cut. There's your clip. So it's 2005. You're back in Chicago.
Yeah.
Who were some of the people or some of the spots that gave you your first chance when you were trying to do this music only full time?
Yeah, this restaurant called Fox's. They're like the best thin crust pizza, like they're on the south side. And we grew up going there. And they always had a lot of Irish people over from Ireland, to sing. And so my dad knew a lot of these guys or knew of them. So we were always going there. And, he'd be sitting at the bar with the singer guy who was like never on stage. He's over at the bar. And we're kids. We're eating pizza. So when I first started playing, I went in there to see them. And at the time, they book you for the entire month.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, 5 days a week for a month. And I did not know that many songs. So the staff, by the end of that month, they're like, if I hear another fucking Neil Diamond song, or perhaps the same song a second time.
Right.
So I'm thinking, well, those people weren't here 3 hours ago when I played this before.
Sweet Caroline's not so sweet.
Blue. They're all like, oh, God. So where'd the bartender go? He went to hang himself. So
Is this triggering, Pierce?
Sorry. So they threw me a ton of work. They had a sports bar next door, so they booked me like on Tuesdays. I mean, just nights where like, you would never have live music there. So they were so good to me, and I still play there today because I'm like, it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get people to show up because it's near where we all grew up. It's actually in the town where Kevin Cronin is from REO Speedwagon, and I saw him in there one night. Eating pizza by himself. I'm like, heard it from a friend. No, I left him alone. And I met him years later, sweet guy. And I told him, I said, I saw you. He's like, I love Fox's. So Fox's restaurant, awesome to me. And I love them to death. So without them, that was huge.
So even at that time, were you doing a mixture of, you're doing not tribute stuff, but other people's songs and your songs? Or were you kind of pocketing your songs until later?
Yeah, with the acoustic thing, by the time I moved back from Arizona, I already had my first album recorded.
Oh, okay.
And so I would mix in those songs. some of them were ballads too, so I would mix in, between, or if the room was quieter and they could listen, I would tell them, oh, here's a song that I wrote. So it was like a lot of Neil Diamond, John Denver, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, just a mixture when I do the acoustic thing.
Right.
But yeah, I was also doing a tribute, the Creedence thing at the time too. So
Nice.
yeah, a little mixture, and doing a radio show. I got on an internet radio station.
Hey, very good.
That's right.
In the early days of the interwebs. Back when it went...
So if you're a DJ at that point, do they let you program your own music?
In Sedona, they had I forget what the system was called.
Yeah.
They laid the songs out, but that if you talked longer, then you'd have to go with a 3-minute song instead of a 4.
Gotcha.
Every now and then you could pull from your own.
So it's not like Good Morning Vietnam where you're pulling all the LPs off the shelf.
No, I mean I did have a nickname. You asked what my on-air name was. It was Dead Air Dan for a little while. Would you like to hear the story? Sure.
Yeah.
Radio guys, you would appreciate
absolutely.
this. So it's the middle of June. That'll come in handy here in a minute. And I, by now I'm doing the 6 a.m., which is a terrible idea for a musician.
Horrible, yeah.
I didn't have a gig the night before, but my friend's band played or whatever. I went to bed and everything. Sat on the edge of the bed. It was like 5:10 in the morning. Sat down to put my shoes on. And I woke up. It was 6:10.
Oh, shit.
So I made it to the station in 2 minutes. There was no traffic on a Saturday morning. 6:12. So I'm not there at 6 to hit the overnight show, and then you hear the all that, and then 12 minutes of dead air. Imagine that. 5 seconds of dead air. You're like, what's up? This station sucks.
Yeah.
Imagine 12 minutes of it. So people are calling like, what's wrong with my radio? I'm like, man, there is nothing wrong with the radio. The check driver light is on. That's what I got. So the boss is calling, and I'm hyperventilating. I'm freaking out. Dry, cotton mouth. And I'm just like pushing buttons, and and I finally got us back on air. And the in-studio monitor was off, and that was a no-no. You never touch that knob because you need to hear whatever's going on. So I grab a CD, and I'm like, I hear something. The boss's wife calls back, and she goes, Tom says take the Christmas song off the air. It was Please Come Home for Christmas. Imagine now, 12 minutes of dead air, and then when it comes back on, it's a Christmas song in June in Arizona. Awesome. So they didn't let me pick my music anymore after that.
That's
Understood.
So anyway.
Dead Air Dan. We're going to use that.
Long story long. They're like, hey, it's Dead Air Dan. Kept my job, though.
Yep.
Because I'm like, well, who else are they going to get? This is a low town here.
Right.
Yep. Now, I remember my first job in radio was the same type of thing, but it was overnights. It was midnight to 6 a.m. Ooh. And this is when you had to get the music off of the satellite. So you'd have to turn on the reel-to-reel to record the song, the show that was going to start at 6 a.m. And it was the worst gig ever, and I made $3.25 an hour.
Holy cow.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Tons and tons of cash back in the days. And it was at Kick 104 before the current ownership, and it was owned by Tom Communications, a great guy named Tom Kearns, who has passed away, and the other Tom was Tom Brokaw.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yep, from South Dakota.
There's
Nice.
the Tom Toms. Did not know that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, see,
So-
mine was completely different. I was mostly college radio, and I had to switch my name 4 times because they kept on calling in and complaining because of my blue-collar jokes. So I would come back on and do like a slightly different voice with a slightly different name, and people would catch on eventually, and then they'd call back in. And I didn't even fucking go to Augustana College, but there I was at KAUR, college radio. And fucking, yeah, it was doing skits. It was in the middle of the night. It was like a 12 to fucking 5 a.m. spot. It was nothing.
Damn.
But yeah, I got kicked off quite a bit. Yeah. For doing the same shit that I'm doing now. You too could achieve your dreams.
Yes. And now you
Yeah.
pay for this shit.
Yeah, fuck you.
I mean, it was nice when I had, the station was AM, but it was news, talk, sports, so we carried the Diamondbacks and all that stuff. And I would have to engineer the board for a lot of games. So, like, you would crack the mic maybe once an hour, do the ID and a quick weather forecast or something, just to, like, we're a live station. We don't want people to think that we're just,
Right.
Yeah.
phoning it in.
Which is a good segue to, you mentioned it, some sports announcing stuff that you have done. And I like to think that Dan is the one who comes into an organization and does the announcing and then gets let go. tell us about a couple of local stories.
Oh,
One wasn't bad, right?
No, I did a couple seasons for the Sasquatch.
Yep.
And that was awesome because, like I said, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a baseball announcer. That was it. And it morphed into doing stadium announcing, so PA announcing. I got a internship with the Joliet Jackhammers, and it was a play-by-play internship. And then one day they had a day game. It was like 11 a.m. and the regular PA guy had a day job. So they're like, "Can you do this?" I'm like, "Give me that goddamn microphone."
Can I was bored to do this shit.
Four innings into the game, they fired him and hired me.
There you go.
So now I'm a paid professional baseball announcer, which was like, oh my God, this is amazing. $50 a game. Didn't care. It covered my train fare. But it was like, I am getting paid to do this? Are you kidding me? Up until then, I'd done like high school sports and everything.
Yep.
So when I, moved to Sundance in 2014, and then like, Schmitty and everything, the Sasquatch are getting on, I'm like, wait, what? There's a baseball league? Well, I got to get in on that. Uh-huh. And then, summers are tough with the band and touring. So then Crow Peak friends of ours, Carolyn, it's like, hey, I put your name in the hat for the audition for the Rapid City Rush. And I'm thinking like, well, thank you. I love you for it, but there's no way. I'm like, I'll go to the audition. Why not? And there was 12 of us. Uh-huh. And you had done it the year or two before, or the time before.
Didn't get the fucking job. You know why? Because I don't know hockey.
Yeah, I love hockey, but I'm like, oh man, this is a totally different animal than baseball.
Yeah.
So I go down, and you're doing it in an empty arena, and everybody's standing around, like the GM sitting up in the seats because he wants to hear how it goes. And doing radio had helped, but there were other radio folk there, some heavy hitters. And I do the one audition, and I'm leaving for like 2.5 weeks for shows. And they call me the next day, like, hey, can you come back for the second round? And I was like, this is awesome. I said, but I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. I don't want to hold anybody up. And then he's like, no, well, when you get back, come back. So I was thinking, I might have a fighting chance. Well, I ended up winning the damn thing. And they hired me, and so I did one full season. And they knew going in, I was like, look, I'm going to miss some games. I don't know how many. There were 36 games. I think I missed 6 or 7, which is a lot. But, I mean, I was there for 29 of them or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yep.
But then new ownership came in midway through the season. And it's like, you always hear this in sports and everything. Like, they just get rid of everybody and they bring in their own guys. I'm thinking like, well, the announcers are safe. What did I do? And sure enough, fast forward, the season's over. I'm in Cincinnati at a Reds game, and I come back to my Airbnb, and I see on Facebook, Gunner, who took over, Fox, whatever the radio station is, like, we want to congratulate, as the new PA announcer for the Rush. I'm going, what the?
So he got fired on Facebook.
Yeah. Nobody told me.
Safe my ass.
So one of the people that got hired for game day operations told the GM, like, oh, I talked to Dan, and yeah, he understands, we're going to let him go. And that conversation never happened. So I messaged Gunner right away, and I'm like, well, hey, I don't know if I missed something or not. Congratulations on taking my job. But, he's a good dude. So I'm just like, all right, he worked for the team for years. And so when I got back from that trip, I went into the arena, and I went to the president, and he's like, hey, man, what's up? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you want to tell me? And he's like, I was told that, he's like, I just took over. He's like, I can't do everything, but he took ownership. He goes, this falls on me. But I was told by the person who now has that job that it was handled, that you were talked to. And I'm like, well, she lied to your face.
Yeah. Wow.
And this happened to other people. So like publicly, that was like not a good look for them because,
not at all.
Fans were just like, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
So I only did the one season. It was great. I would have done more. So once that happened, I had already sold my house in Sundance. So I said, all right, well, there's really nothing keeping me in the hills anymore. So I moved back to Chicago.
Yep. And so what? So this is how I met Dan, was when he was out in Sundance. Just had a little bar, had some friends in common in the music industry, and Dan would come play at my place every now and then, and he would play around to Spearfish, Sundance, Rapid area, that type of thing. So tell us a little bit about your Sundance connection as much as you would want, because how does a guy from Chicago and Arizona end up in, of all places, Sundance, Wyoming?
The booming metropolis of Sundance.
Is indeed.
You talk about polar opposites.
Yeah, no shit.
I grew up, 40 minutes outside of Chicago, but like very easy to get there, but it's still like you don't just like cross a line, like you're out of the city limits, but you're still in the chaos of all these people and traffic and all these things. So I was on the road. I played the rally in Hewlett, the Sturgis rally in 2007 the first time, and they invited me back. So 2008 I go back and I met my now ex-wife at the rally. She was working, I was there. So she ends up moving to Chicago. We get married, and then we end up moving to Sundance in 2014, where I was busy enough with the tribute band, and I'm thinking like, all right, as long as I'm near an airport, I had no idea what I was getting into as far as dealing with Rapid Cities Airport every weekend, delays and cancellations and everything. Yep. So yeah, I mean, like when I would come to the hills for the rally, I was like, man, ever since I first came out here, I'm like, I want to like own some land. And I eventually did. I bought a 5-acre lot, and I still have it in Sundance, and I go stand on it every they're like, he's back. Get out of here.
Guy standing alone in the field.
So we were here. I was here for 6 years, and then when we got divorced and the house sold, the only thing keeping me here was the rush, and then that went away. So it was quite a change. And believe it or not, it was my idea. It was like, all right, she's homesick, and her family is here. I already had a number of friends or whatever. But when I was here and starting to play, like you were a big part of it because you threw me a ton of gigs. I met Heath Johnson right away. Heath was great, and he does so much for the community. So like the two of you were really like, Patty O'Neill's and stuff. You were throwing me gigs, and then at your place and everything, and the Grand and everything. So I met all these people through you. And I've said this before, and I mean it. Deadwood is my favorite place in the world to play.
I mean, it is an awesome town. When you were in Sundance, did you find like a little bit, I don't know, maybe a muse that was there that you didn't find in kind of more booming metropolis areas? Something that the solidarity of your own, just being in a lack of population, was there anything that kind of tripped your mind as a muse in that, or was it kind of just a stop along the road of life?
I originally, it was supposed to be like a year or two here and then go to Denver because like I wanted to continue in broadcasting and music and travel and all that stuff. But it was a very quiet way of life. I mean, at times too quiet. I made it work because I exhausted every opportunity here. Getting a job at Eagle Country, Sasquatch, Rush.
Right.
I was bartending and playing gigs as often. And then I got the Creedence gig full time. I was subbing for them for several years. And then in 2016, I took over full time. So I was living here at that time. So dealing with the airport, and eventually it just got, like I need to be back in Chicago because.
Right, and so let's get into the meat and the bones of this, and with avoiding as many lawsuits and calls from managers as we can. So Dan has said many times on his podcast, Danimal Planet, you can go check that out.
Thank you.
Creedence, CCR, the original, with the Fogertys and Stu and Cosmo, was your favorite band growing up. And become big fan. And like you said, you had the tribute band, which was Blue Moon Swamp, correct?
Yeah.
Yep, Blue Moon Swamp, and would go out and do some things in different metros and travel a little bit with that. And then tell us how you caught the attention of Stu and Cosmo and how the transition started for you to be where you are now.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's all I got to say. Thank you. I'm just so grateful. Basically, no one's going to give it to you, right? You have to ask for it, ask for forgiveness instead of permission. I mentioned earlier where it's like none of these things deterred me. So I would tell people, I'm like, I've been chatting with Stu Cook, about becoming their singer one day. And people were just like, you're out of your mind. Why would they hire you? Why would they hire you? Like, what, who are you?
And so if you don't know, Stu Cook is one of the founding members and bassist for CCR.
Yeah. So he would intervene or whatever, chime in on like fan groups, Yahoo fan groups and, his emails. So you'd see these globs of emails and I'd see like, Stu Cook, I'm not going to give you his email address, but I would see it. And I would just like one day they were coming to Chicago with Leonard Skinner to do the Taste of Chicago, this big show out in public. And I just emailed him, and my friend was trying to introduce me to them. She had gone to see them play several times. She had secretly been telling them about me. I didn't know that. So when I emailed Stu privately, I just said, hey, if you ever need a singer, let me know. I can sing, like the songs. He didn't respond. Why would he?
I was like,
No.
how many of those are in his inbox? Hey, if
but-
you need anybody, I can sing.
I'll tell you what, a year or so later, he did to that email. He had saved
nice.
it, and he's like, you know what? We're at a point where we don't want to have to cancel shows. So we're talking to some other candidates, which pissed me off even more. Which
Cheating on
motivated
me, and I don't even have the gig yet.
I'm like, I don't even have the gig yet. And so like we went back and forth. He's like, send us 5 songs, and then send us these 5 songs, and we just want to hear your voice. Don't worry about the quality of it and everything. So I thought I was being slick. I'd send him like 7. I'm like, no, he's already asked for more. And he's like, how about the other 3? And I'm like, yeah, incoming. So this went on for like another year. And I'd like call him on Thanksgiving. Hey, Stu, Dan, happy Thanksgiving. Just don't forget about me.
Yeah.
And eventually, after pestering him enough, he goes, calm down. Because I said, like, how about I just come to Austin and you, me, and Cosmo just jam right now and seal the deal. That's what I said to him. And he's like, calm down. As far as I'm concerned, you're the number 1 candidate to front the band. Should we ever need you?
Sure. Yeah.
And more time went through, and then I got a call out of the blue in February of 2008. We need you in Houston tonight. The singer Johnny was sick, and they flew me down to Houston, no rehearsal, nothing, and just played a show.
So here you go. So that first show with, which at this point would be Creedence Clearwater Revisited.
Yep.
At that first show, how big was the venue?
I mean, there might have been 2,000 people in there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a private event, so it was like for them, they're like, let's try this guy out at a private event. It's not, not a, it was 2008, so like not everybody had their cell phones out and everything. So
If this goes incredibly wrong, nobody will have cell phone
right.
footage
I mean,
of this fucking guy that's been pestering me for a year.
they, I mean, all that went on for over 2 years, and I could not believe, like, I'm getting paid to be a baseball announcer, $50 a pop. I could not believe that I'm on stage with Doug and Stu. I thought it was just going to be a one-off, like, all right, hey, Johnny's sick, and thanks for helping us out, kid. And they gave me a DVD. They're like, all right, here's the arrangements that we want you to hang on to. Some of the songs are a little different, through the years. And I just was in heaven.
So at like that point in time, do you remember that little tiny seed that you tucked away in your brain so many years ago coming to fruition, or was that a little bit later down the road when you had like gameful gigs all the time and they were you're the guy?
Yeah, and they liked that I was doing a tribute because they're like, all right, he knows the words. There's a million singers out there, but they don't know the words.
Right.
Like if you're up there butchering the songs, that sucks. And I did have that moment where I would tell a few people, I'm like, I just got the call, and I'm like, it finally happened, or it's happening. And it happened again later that year in like October. So I subbed for like 8 or 9 years, just dropping everything and going. And then in 2016, he had major health problems and couldn't continue, so it just shooed me right in.
So how many shows did you do as the emergency backup or the replacement?
Oh, not many. 9 maybe.
Okay.
In like 8 years. So
almost like once a year.
Yeah, but it was like there was like a 3-year stretch where they didn't call me at all, and I was like, what did I do? Was it something I said? All the while, never losing sight or track of like, that's my fucking gig.
Yep.
Right.
And like when he told me, he goes, we're talking to all these other I'm like, no, you're not. That is my gig.
So and then in 2016 then, when the singer that they had issues that forced him not to be able to perform anymore, tell us about the call you got and how did that period of time go?
This couldn't have been more perfect timing. Where we just finished 2016, it was October, and I'm driving to my parents' house. I was still living here, but I was in Chicago. And that night was my 20-year high school reunion.
Oh, nice.
So like the timing of it, right? And nobody knew me as a musician in high school because I started afterwards.
Sure.
So Stu calls me, so I pull over, and you kind of knew the call was coming, but I didn't know if that was the call. And he's like, hey, congratulations. You're the last singer Cosmo and I are ever going to be on stage with, which like gave me chills because I love them to death.
Yeah.
And, congratulations on doing a great job. Thanks for helping us out. And, I was like, I'm on my way to my 20-year reunion. He's like, well, you'll have a little extra pep in your step. Not that I walk through the doors, it's like, oh, you motherfuckers that, no.
Hey, Dan,
Sorry.
what have you been up to? Let me fucking tell you.
Yeah. You can edit that out. I don't want my mother to see that. No, so like nobody, I think one buddy knew. In fact,
sure.
the friend that took me to see them in in 97 or 96,
Yep.
I called him first. And he's like, I wasn't coming to the reunion. Now I am. He's like, I want to celebrate that with you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So like nobody at the reunion knew. I mean, we didn't matter. I didn't care, but my core, my circle knew.
Oh,
And
that's
that was
awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
Very good. So coming up now on, so it's 2025, so we're almost 10 years, and we'll talk about the new project in just a little bit. But so in the meantime, from 16 until Stu and Cosmo retired, approximately how many gigs did you do as the actual official Creedence Clearwater Revisited?
It's well over 200, which may sound like a lot, but it really wasn't. I got on board full time when they started to cut back. They were doing 75 to 100 shows, if not more, for the first 15 years.
Sure.
And then they've been doing it for 50 something years, so they're missing grandkids and anniversaries and birthdays, the drill. And so they cut back to like 65 shows and then down to 50 and 55. So like even the last year, I think we did like 70 because like, oh, you're retiring? Like, then people kept booking us.
Sure. Yep. And so one of the stories that I tell a lot, not to embarrass Dan, but I've had Dan play at my bar for $200. And then
good money at the time.
Yeah, yeah. 2019 rolls around, and Dan is out with the big band doing some stuff, and then he's got a show in Mexico City, and this was in February.
Gary.
And so in February, I was like, oh man, look at this! Like, oh, this would be great. We looked into it. Our flights were cheap, and then we're like, oh shit! So we called a couple of friends. And we're like, well, hell, let's just go down and see him. And so we talked to Dan, and I think we had already seen you in Winter Park, Colorado. We had driven down.
Tiny venue there, yeah.
Tiny, like almost private, but not.
Right.
If you're not familiar with Winter Park, think Aspen level. I mean, that's kind of what, or Beaver, or whatever it was. It was a nice.
I don't know, Lloyd. The French are assholes.
It was a really nice theater, and that's the first time that we had met Stu and Cosmo. And I remember Stu was very, and I mean this politely, standoffish. Like you said, he's done this for 50 years.
Yeah.
And Dan's like, these are my friends. And,
He's all talk.
Yeah, and then and then he was very distant. And then once we visited with him, he was very friendly and welcoming.
Great. He's
and,
awesome.
But then in 2019, Gary, who is hiding over there having a cigar,
Hello, Gary.
and Tracy and Molly and I, we flew to Mexico City for a week.
So awesome.
And we went down there. We got this great place to stay. We saw Dan a little bit because obviously he was working and doing a run of shows. And so then we go, and Dan's like, yep, I got you taken care of. Here's pick up your laminates, and here's your tickets and stuff like that. So we get down there, and we're like third or fourth row center. And it's amazing. Gary's on cloud nine.
You had a better seat than I did.
And it was so it was a stadium, an enclosed stadium, so an arena of about 20,000 people. I don't know if it was officially 100% sold out, but
Palacio de los Deportes.
Exactly. How's your Spanish? And we'll get to that too. And it was absolutely amazing. And this is my point. Dan was the exact same guy playing for 20,000 people in Mexico as he was at my bar a year earlier for 12 to 15 people.
Sometimes those smaller crowds, the intimate ones, I enjoy that as an entertainer.
Yeah.
That's the stuff, man.
Yeah, so we had a wonderful time, and Gary even commented while we were sitting there waiting for the show to start. He turns around and goes, "We have better seats than Dan's brother." It was a row behind us.
My brother was there. He flew down on his Irish passport.
Yeah,
He had just gotten it.
So, which is, I think, is amazing that you can play a bar in Deadwood or Sundance, Longhorn, Dime, those places, but then we go see you with the big band with 20,000 screaming fans, and it is absolutely wonderful. How the fuck do you stay grounded after something like that?
Take a guess which is more fun.
Well,
Just kidding.
I think
15 people.
Sometimes.
One might pay better, but it's not always the money.
Oh, like that first gig with Stu, like we talked about. Flight. What do I wear? And he's like, no plaid. Like they'd kill me if I wore that.
Yeah.
What guitar do I bring? And all this stuff. And he's like, you're coming, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, how much do you want now? And I'm thinking, like, I would have done it for free. And I'm like, one of my idols is asking me, how much do I want? And I'm thinking like, man, I got to put some zeros after what I'm normally getting paid.
So $10.
Right. So, you know, doing the big stadiums and everything, I mean, a lot of that is because of Stu and Cosmo and their, you know, their career and everything, but like, hey, I'll take it.
Right.
I appreciate that very much. No, I need to be me. It's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm entertaining. I'm turning it on. Like I said, I'm actually kind of shy in certain instances, you know. I'm working on it. Beer, coffee, cigars at 10 a.m. You know, therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy is good. No, I would be so disappointed, and like my mother would be disappointed if she heard otherwise. Like, you know, your son was a real jerk. It's just like, well, you know, I can be at times, but I love it, and I'm so grateful to be able to do it, to be able to play locally, which I love. I mean, you know, setting up for a gig, hauling gear around, it all sucks.
Right.
But
Yep.
when the light kicks on and you're playing, you're doing what you love to do, and the fact that Stu and Cosmo chose me, you know, and then I get to do that is just like, how in the hell is this happening? Like,
Right.
I'm the luckiest guy in the world, and I try to remember that every time. So I appreciate that.
And then as soon as we got done with that show, Dan got deathly sick.
Oh, I thought I was going to die.
I think he ran into a young Mexican lady, but that's just rumor.
No. Well, Montezuma.
Montezuma, yeah.
Yeah, or something.
And then we flew back, and this little thing called COVID happened, and I believe there were only 1 or 2 more shows after that. Is that right?
No, that was it.
That was it.
You saw the last like public show.
Oh, wow.
Because the next one was a public, but it was a big biker event like 5 hours away.
Sure.
So like people like yourselves, like you were flying to Mexico City. Like it's a pity we didn't end in Mexico City. Because the biker event, we didn't get off the stage until like 1 a.m. Like I look back at that, I'm like, that was Stu and Cosmo's last show. Like that sucked.
Yeah.
Because we didn't, you know, COVID happened.
Sure.
We had tours still booked after that. But like Mexico City was the public, you know, that was really our
Right.
goodbye thing. And it's on YouTube and everything. It's, you know, it's actually recorded. I keep trying to get Stu to release it. You know, I'm like, that's an awesome live show.
right.
I watched that YouTube show and I'm like, everybody had, so like in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, like everybody played so great that night. And it was so much fun. It was great having you guys there. That was like, wow. And we had the next day off and then that last show. And that's when I thought I was going to die. I've never been so sick in my life.
But you made it.
Made it through.
Still kicking.
Yeah.
And then don't want to keep you too long, and we've been chammering for a little bit. But so far, I think it's good, right?
Oh, good.
Right, Ethan? We're not fucking this up, are we?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right, let's fucking go.
Hey,
Good.
I'm in no hurry.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's on vacation. So then that leads to the last show with those guys. Doing well. We visited the other day. You know, you might see Stu at his place in Europe and some other stuff, and you see Cosmo every time you go back to California, that type
Yeah,
of thing.
Reno. Yeah, he's in Reno.
And so now, the new project, which you've been having a good success with and really picking up this last year,
Yeah.
Kurt Griffey,
Kurt,
super nice guy, guitar player.
The best guy in the world, easiest guy to work with.
Very nice.
I mean, just he's a gem.
So when Stu and Cosmo decided, hey guys, 50 years is enough,
Yeah.
we're going to get off the road, and they offered you their full blessing for what you and Kurt currently own and travel the world with.
Yeah.
Tell us about revisiting
And
Creedence.
I will say too, Trish Fogarty, Tom's widow, has been absolutely amazing, and we love her to death. She's been super supportive as well. So it's great to have their blessing. And we're working on the other guy, but John's my idol. You know, like I've never met him, but you know, I'm like, you know, I come in peace.
Right.
So yeah, so Kurt and I would sit around after certain shows with Revisited, kind of knowing within the year so Kurt would be like, so what are you doing after this gig? And I'm like, I don't know. I was thinking of starting like a John Denver tribute or something. I was a Neil Diamond, John Denver hybrid.
I mean,
you know?
you have the hair for it. So
Yeah, right. Just give me the little glasses. And so we were sitting down with Stu one day at the bar after one of the shows, and we're just like, hey, look, here's what we'd like to do. And he's like, Cosmo and I love it. We love it. And, you know, whatever we can do. He just told us a few things. He's like, as long as it's not marketed in a way where people think Doug and I are going to be on stage, you know, but like, you know, do what you need to do, but, you know, like we'll, you know, help out where we can. And so we decided on the name Revisiting Creedence to kind of play off the Creedence Clearwater Revisited.
Yes.
You know, it would have been great if we can keep the name, but there were certain legal things in place where, you know, the name Creedence Clearwater Revisited had to be Doug and Stu.
Sure.
You know, we believe. I mean, Cosmo would have kept playing too, but whatever. Stu wants to. Stu still wants to, you know, play, but I mean, he's living out of the country now, so like, you know, he'll play with us at some point, you know, for fun. But we couldn't go on under the name without Doug and Stu, of course.
Gotcha.
So we chose on revisiting Creedence, which we're of course happy with, and it tells everybody what we're doing. We are revisiting Creedence, and we're having a ball. It's just been so much fun, and yeah, Kurt is just. I mean, the band's phenomenal. But Kurt's just such a great guy. Our manager, same manager from Creedence, you know, so we've kept everything in place. We've got the same travel agent. We've got a lot of the same crew. You know, it was a winning, working formula.
Sure.
It had worked for years. Yes, we're doing it and building it without Rock and Roll Hall of Famers in our band.
Right.
So it's been a little, you know, incline at times, very frustrating. But coming out of the pandemic sucked. It sucked for everybody and everything. So just this year and last year was really starting to show, like, you know, we're on the right path. So.
Awesome. And you can check it out online. It's Revisiting Creedence on all the socials. You can see the new stuff. We were talking before we hit the air. We've got gigs you're flying out to or driving out to this weekend and the next weekend. You got a couple in New York and Providence. And so you're staying busy quite a bit with that.
Yeah, and we got more international stuff. We got Canada, Mexico coming up, next year. I think we're going to go down to South America again.
Very nice.
Next summer, I think, or in the spring. So we're very grateful for it. You know, I don't lose sight of the fact that we're handling and protecting somebody's legacy. Like, as a songwriter or any other songwriter, when someone's playing your work, I'm very delicate about it. Like Kurt and Ron and the other guys, they've had fantastic careers. They played with some huge names. And I'm not saying they just like took any Creedence needs a guitar player. Yeah, I guess I'll take it.
Right.
They're, journeyman hired gun kind of a thing. This is my bag. Like, right. I only wanted to do this.
Yep.
And, did a tribute band, but then the guys hired me and everything. So it's like I'm very well aware of the fact that these are somebody's songs. John wrote and sang these songs. They're great. I treat them as my own.
I was going to say, it seems like you're just as protective of that collection of music as if it was your baby as well.
Oh, and you see bands, just kind of phone it in sometimes. I mean, these are simple songs, but people destroy them all the time, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? go do that to Journey or something.
Journey did that to Journey.
Journey did
sorry.
that. Yeah. So I'm very I would want John or Stu or Cosmo, everybody to know. It's like, hey, this is a weird thing to say. Like, nothing is going to happen. I got this.
Right.
So
right.
I love doing it. So
very good. That's awesome. So unless Pierce, you have anything else? Dan did bring a guitar, and for some copyright issues, we're going to hear some of your originals. Just a couple. And Gary, do you have anything to add over there for an hour hanging out? Great trip. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the great trip starts once we do the blotter acid after the interview.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably play one of those other songs. I don't know.
That is up to you. So everybody, before we get to the music, and Ethan will edit all this shit out. Thanks for tuning in to a special edition.
Will he, though? Will he?
Probably not. Patreon. See,
B-roll.
This is what your $5 is getting you.
Oh, God.
We can afford almost a beer upstairs.
Yeah.
I mean, in the undisclosed location.
I mean, yeah. One of those things.
So make sure, we're going to do a lot more of this. We're going to reach out to some of our other friends in the music industry who play locally. We've got our Blues Fest documentary. This will have come and gone by the time this airs. Mr. Johnny Hastings, who won the Wild West Songwriters Festival this year, will do one. Tyler Bills from the Tyler Bills Trio, formerly of Judd Hoos. We'll get our buddy you
Tyler's
mentioned earlier,
yeah.
Heath down here, Heath Johnson, who has like 17 jobs now.
He's the Jesus of the Black Hills music scene.
And and he has the appearance and the demeanor.
He looks like Jesus.
Yes,
but no, he is the best guy ever. He's done so much for everybody and entities and venues and everything. So yeah, they should have a day named after him.
There you go. Heath Johnson Day in the Black Hills. We're going to have a bunch more musicians down here talk about their musical journey, have them play a little bit for you. Like I said, when we started this thing, Deadwood Tobacco is cigars and pipes and beer and wine and smoking culture, and also music is a huge part of what we do.
Music, yes.
Thank you for having me.
thank you very much for coming down.
My goodness.
And we are so happy that we got to do this interview. Make sure that you, shout us out on any stage that you're on. Just be like, at Blow and Smoke Podcast on YouTube.
You got it.
But you guys, make sure to stay tuned. We're going to have some more fun edited content coming for you from all of us at Blow and Smoke Podcast. Peace out, fuckers.
Oh, sure, yeah. All right, this is a song I wrote called Louisiana. Oh, Louisiana, where have you gone? Oh, Louisiana, where have you gone? I took a drive down south one day, top down tunes blasting away. I heard a story about a southern girl, people talking all over the world about Anna. Where have you gone? Oh, Louisiana, where have you gone? Down in the Delta, there's a girl out there, something special, there's a love in the air. Out comes a woman singing a song, sounding so good I gotta sing along with Anna. Where have you gone? Oh, Louisiana, where have you gone? Oh, yeah. Dawn of the darkness, gray light of dawn, poinsettia princess dancing on the lawn. She knew my name without asking me. I keep on asking, where can she be? My Anna, where have you gone? Oh, Louisiana, where have you gone? Oh, Louisiana, where have you gone? Oh, thank you. I get the clap too, huh?
Not as fun as getting it this way.
Yeah. It's a cooler story, I'll tell you that. Put a candle in the window, but I feel I've got to move. Well, I'm gone, gone. I'll be coming home soon. Long as I see the light. Pick my bags and let's get moving. 'Cause I'm bound to drift a while. Well, I'm gone, gone. You don't have to worry, no. Long as I see the light. Yes, I've